Well, recently, Ontario announced it is following the advice of the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force and lowering the age for breast cancer screening from 50 to 40 years for women, all in an effort to treat potential cancer tumors early and, of course, to save lives. Well, Lindsay Matthews, quite young when she was diagnosed, and she has since been advocating for early screening and more funding. Lindsay joins me now. Lindsay, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have an incredible story. Would you be willing to share it with us?
Yeah, so currently I'm living with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, which is the incurable version of breast cancer. However, it all started about 5 years ago when I found my breast cancer myself through self screening, and it was treated early, and I was a cancer survivor.
And now, of course, as you say, you are dealing with what you're having to deal with, but you've put your focus so much on everybody else. The concern that regarding screening, we're not doing enough, we're not doing it early enough. Talk to me about that level of advocacy that you've been involved in. And now, of course, Ontario lowering the age to 40, how critical it is to have that screening done at a younger age.
I think that it's critical because it's obviously going to save lives.
Mhm.
However, it's really important that, there's an announcement made for funding for resources to make sure that Ontario can handle all of the extra mammograms that they're going to have to do for the women in their 40s and even the women in their 30s who are at high risk who can self-refer for
Mhm.
these tests. I think that if I had more awareness that, breast cancer was something that could happen so young,
Mhm.
I would have gone to a doctor much earlier to get that testing done.
And it's not just the mammograms, because women who are younger, we know that they have denser breasts. So the ultrasound is also critical to be part of that screening.
That's right. And actually, I had the ultrasound first. My doctor decided that that's what I should do first to
Mhm.
determine whether or not this was, a suspicious lump. And I got the mammogram shortly afterwards. And the ultrasound actually discovered a second tumor, whereas the mammogram only found one.
Yeah.
So, although the mammogram's really efficient at getting at about 75% of tumors, sometimes there does need to be a supplement for MRI or ultrasound.
Research is critical, getting funding for that research even more critical so we can keep the research going. The type of cancer that you have, I think it's important to highlight, and you've been doing that throughout your advocacy, throughout your work, that all cancers, all breast cancers, are not given the same amount of funding. It's not spread evenly across the board here. For your type of cancer, metastatic breast cancer, it's a very small percentage, like less than 5% of that funding. Why is that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's really shocking. And I had no idea until I was living as a stage
Mm.
4 cancer patient. You know, Less than 5% goes to a cancer that is responsible. The 5-year survival rate goes from 90% for early stage breast cancer down to less than 30%, for stage 4. So it doesn't make sense that there isn't at least an equal amount of funding for
Mhm.
this kind of cancer.
What do you want to see being done when it comes to, obviously, we want to increase the funding, but conversation, education for women, for girls, for families?
When I started sharing my story through writing and speaking, I was really surprised at how many people did not realize that stage 4 breast cancer was incurable.
Mm.
They didn't understand that that I'm now going to be in treatment for the rest of my life, that the goal is to be stable, or some people, depending on the nature of the disease, will be no evidence of disease for a time period.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, breast cancer always finds a way to come back. So it's really important that there's a lot more funding and research so that women are giving better treatment options and they're getting a lot longer out of each treatment option.
So, for women that are listening right now, some who may be afraid to get checked, as you say in your situation, you detected something and then went to your doctor and got checked. But what do you want to tell women listening to you right now across the country?
Honestly, I think it's really important that women understand that, a quick little self screen is really not that big a deal. And if something doesn't feel right, go talk to a doctor about it. If you don't have a family doctor, find a walk in clinic.
Mm.
It's really important to advocate for yourself because finding it early is really, really beneficial.
What about getting over that fear, Lindsay?
I think that I can understand that some people would be afraid, to know the truth or to know if they would have to go through something so hard.
Hmm.
But honestly, you can take it from someone who's been through literally everything. At the end of the day, it's worth it and you can do it.
You're an amazing, brave woman, Lindsay, and I really appreciate you sharing your story, giving us your time, and doing the incredible work that you're doing as you continue to go through your treatment. Lindsay Matthews is a cancer survivor. She's a cancer patient. I look forward to speaking to you again, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Angie.